So you mentioned going from one-off syndications, which is what your typical business model had been in the past, to opening your own fund. It sounds like you've just recently closed that fund. So
Yep.
you've
Yep. It
acquired
was
three assets inside of that.
so in January, well, the goal is initially to do about six assets, through like five to six assets. And then the math for the fund was created in December of 2021, January of 2022. So, and it was great. I mean, people were excited. I was providing diversification. In fact, a fund typically is about 2.3 times less risky than a single asset syndication. So that's really why people love to do it. And they get exposure to multiple regions, multiple asset classes, multiple levels of apartments in different cities, right? So it intellectually makes sense. The the challenge I have is I've sort of spoiled my investors, prior
Mm.
to this. I'm in my eighth year. For 7 years, I've been showing them single asset deals, and I've also trained them, I've educated them, I've empowered them to become very sophisticated and savvy. So they love sitting and analyzing each deal and asset.
Mm.
And so, they just want to have choice. Hey, I want that one. I don't want that one. I don't want that one. And so, sometimes even though intellectually it makes something sense to you, as a business, you always listen to the customer. You always listen to your clients. You always listen to your investors. And so what I'm going to do is we're probably going to launch another fund next year, and maybe it will be
Mm-hmm.
like a two-pack or a three-pack, just like we did this time, but it will maybe a portfolio deal where some people want to get into that. Other people want to do the single asset, but instead of going all or none, I'm going to give much more options to my investors. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And so you learned through that experience that your investor base, because of the way that you've sort of trained them and taught them to analyze these deals and determine, what deals they should be in, what they shouldn't be in, you realize that a lot of them have the desire to actually be able have the flexibility to place their investments and analyze their own deals at a high level, but place their investments and diversify by themselves versus diversifying through your fund. Is that what I'm understanding?
I'll put it this way, our last deal we're buying from Blackstone right now. And then it made me think about it. I'm reading Steven Schwarzman's book, What It Takes, Blackstone CEO's book. And then, I started thinking about Blackstone. What is Blackstone? How are they different than like, some of the, really most reputable, sponsor syndicators who are my friends here in the US. And it's because they've gone so big, it's inefficient to do these single asset things. They
Mm-hmm.
have to write these huge checks, and they need to take down, like large portfolios. Also, at that level, people are banking on Blackstone, and they're what they're doing is at such a large scale. There's not enough sophistication for people to even do that, or they don't want to. And then their equity checks are so large that this is the only way that makes sense. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think at some point, all companies eventually go toward that model. Perhaps we're a little bit early in that story line, but it was to learn how to do a fund was an amazing experience, and I'm glad I did it. And probably we can continue to offer that in the future, along with our single assets. But um, I understand now, who funds work for, who it doesn't. I can advise people on it, and it's you just want to have like multiple things. Like me and you were talking in the green room about the fund to fund models as a really great way for co-GPs and raisers to help consolidate their investors and be like the one platform so they can invest wisely. And I like that model as well. So it's
Yeah.
just exploring models that work and see what makes sense for your business and for your investors.